Hi everyone, I'm Tom Slivick and I'm with Dick Glock, Superintendent of Amador County Unified School District today. Superintendent,
Hey.
right?
Good afternoon, sir.
It's good afternoon to you too, Dick. I'm glad you were able to join me today. And we're going to be talking about schools, specifically here, maybe schools in general a little bit. How long have you been the superintendent?
Well, it's been 5 years, Tom.
5 years. Okay.
5 years since my family and I moved to Amador County. It seems to really only be a couple, but it actually is 5. I've had a son graduate here, and I've got another one, a senior this year. So
Okay.
I've experienced the school system firsthand.
Is your son in Amador?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so he's going to Amador, and you know, I've been here for I guess 25 years now, maybe 26, but it seems to me like the school superintendents always have a fairly controversial place.
Well, you know, I think by the nature of it, there's always some kind of creative tension, if nothing else, and I think that's just part of the job anymore. In any leadership position, you have a little different kind of communication than what we had when we were going through high school or through the school system, and so. Something happens in one part of the district and it spreads like wildfire to another part of the district, and it about half the time or more it's some rumor, and so you spend time kind of defusing things that really aren't going to come into play, but people don't know that to start with.
I thought too as well, you know, from seeing that, and for school board members as well, it's kind of nice being in a hot seat too. It's because the people that, you know, call you up or care, they've got their kid. You know, it's your kid that they're concerned about, and so I think they don't mind a lot of people picking up the phone and getting on the phone and talking to the board members or talking to you and trying to find, hey, what's going on? Why is little Johnny or Mary, you know.
Well, that's absolutely right, and I can tell you, having 5 sons of my own, that the most precious possession, and children really aren't possessions, but we look at them that way for a while at least. It's our most precious commodity, our most precious possession, and we're happy actually to have parents call us, because the student is our end product, and and we've done studies. We know where our kids go to school, what they do when they graduate with jobs or whatever, but we want them to be able to compete, certainly in Amador County, but they have to be in this world economy. You have to be able to compete across the United States and maybe in the world. So, and our graduates have been able to do that, and we're proud of it. So I think it's only natural, and that's one of the reasons I moved here. I grew up in a small community where there were only about 100 students in my high school, and in Nebraska I supervised high schools that were about 450, about 500, what our high schools are. And so I'm from a farm background, so being in an agricultural community is something that I really looked forward to, and still very much enjoy being part of a agrarian community.
Right. Also, you know, coming from a smaller community, one feels more like, you know, for lack of a better term, you feel more like a person in that community than I know whenever I, you know, take a trip down to Sacramento, or pretty soon I start looking around and there's so many people, so many cars, and I start to feel like I lost my identity. Right. And
well, one of the high schools I supervised, I was high school principal in Temecula, and we had 3,500 students at a particular school. And we had, I don't know, 225 staff members. So we had 32,000 students in the district. So I'm used to that, but this is something that, you're right about the intimacy. You get to know people a little better, and I think we can respond a little more individualistically in a school district of about 4,000 students. which is what we have now.
Okay. Now, is your job similar, say to I want to say oh boy, Mike Daly, in the sense of the staff, the board, you fulfill what the board wants done. Is that the job of the superintendent?
That's right. And I
by
heard
the way, Mike Daly's with City of Jackson. So meaning like this, the chief executive officer or something like that. Is that what your job is?
Yeah, I saw your interview with the new city manager at Ione, and I could relate to much of what he said. You know, I have some professional beliefs about things, but my job is to be the superintendent that this governing board needs, not the superintendent that I have learned to be someplace in class or workshops, or you go to CSBA or AXA meetings, California Administrator meetings. I need to be the administrator that certainly the governing board needs, and the one that this community needs. So you kind of set those things aside, and the Board of Education sets policy. And then it's my job to see to it that we consistently implement the policies that they set. That if we got a dress code, why we implement the dress code across the district.
So does that kind of make you like the attorney there as well for the state or the federal government, saying, well, this is the way it's supposed to be, this is the way the laws are? Not, you know, if you follow what I'm saying, if I'm catching you right, you're saying, well, look, these are the guidelines we have to act in,
right?
And so you're the person who's up to speed on the guidelines and also up to speed what they want. So you give them counsel in that sense and carry out their wishes on the other hand?
That'd be correct.
Okay, now we've gone from a 7-member board to a 5-member board. How's that work out for Amador County?
Well, I think so far, we felt like with reduced enrollment, we're reducing a lot of things. We felt that having 5 representatives would be a good move. The other part is it's actually illegal due to, I think it's the Voters' Rights Act of 2001, to not elect by district. We were electing at large, and so sometimes underrepresented groups don't get represented because everybody in Ione maybe could select who they wanted if they had the biggest population base, and that isn't how it happened. But regardless, our choice was to go by supervisorial district because those are set up.
Right.
Then that saves the school district from having to do demographic studies, population studies themselves, and setting up other districts. We would have had to set up 7 districts the way we are, or the way we were, and now we can just follow the 5 districts that Amador County already has.
Okay, and by the way, there are two positions that are open this election cycle. Yes,
that happens to be districts 4 and 5.
Okay, and all right. Now I want to ask another question. Like, you often think of since you're aware of like so much of the regulation and what the governments expect, both the state and probably federal government as well. How does the school board influence the schools, or where? How much leeway do they have? How much leeway do we have as how we operate as a school system?
Well, in a lot of ways, there are some fences for you. There are parameters, and a lot of it has to do with how you can spend money, which by its nature then limits what you're able to do as a governing board or as an administration. And some of that's probably okay, and some of it gets a little invasive and probably limits us. Some of the spending on vocational classes, for instance, they're very expensive, and we're even required to have a certain number available, but the funding doesn't come for those. The state says, oh, we want you to do this or that. Special education would be another case that are really what they are is unfunded mandates. They cost a certain amount, and you're supposed to get a certain amount back. And in the case of special education, the state skims off a percentage before it even gets to us. So very often you are limited by how you can spend money, which, like I say, those are also protections so that you don't become insolvent.
Right.
But it limits your freedom.
Okay, and when we're talking about funding, I guess we could talk about we're basic aid.
Yes.
And I'd like to make clear to everyone, because it seemed to be, I don't know, no one kind of maybe really had all the knew, or there was a lot of different, I don't want to say rumors, but unclarity on whether or not the school was the person who declared yourself a basic aid, or it was the state. And it's just a criteria that the state set up. You fall within those guidelines, and that's what we are.
Right.
Correct?
That's correct. Yeah. You don't declare. You just end up there based on how your property taxes are in relation to the base revenue limit. So it's entirely an arithmetic.
Well, I think people might have thought also, we've got to go, but that you could either opt in or opt out.
Yeah, no. You're either in or out by the numbers.
Well, we want to make that clear. Okay, and we'll be back with more with Supervisor Dick Glock, Superintendent Dick Glock, right after this. Stay with us. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.